All right. So I just got home. Okay. I just got home and I decided I have to make a video. I have to. I've been thinking about the Batman. I watched the Batman this weekend, or at least I watched the first 2 hours of the Batman because I thought it was a 2 hour movie. So don't spoil it, guys, if you watched it. Um, but I watched the Batman this past weekend, or at least a good portion of it, and it has not left my mind, right? Let's just put it that way. There's a lot going on in that movie that speaks to me personally, but I think also really fleshed out a lot of things for me. And so this is going to be a bit of play processing, right? Discovering as I talk, right? So don't expect any major insights or conclusions necessarily. I just wanted to make this like it's just been bothering me, this movie. And so I'm gonna do the best I can, and then I'm probably gonna make a few more lives until it's just out of my system, because this movie. I highly recommend it, 10 out of 10. But I think it's just there's just a lot going on, and I think a lot that I learned while watching that movie, not only about myself but about just other people and OP in general. So first things first, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to give you like a brief spoiler free recap of the movie, okay? Because I fucking hate spoilers just as much as the next guy, right? So this is obviously a reboot. This is a new Batman. This is not Christian Bale's Batman. This is not Ben Affleck's Batman. It's set in an entirely new universe, right? Or cinematic. It's a very gritty take on the Batman. And at least from what I've seen, I haven't finished it, right? But the first 2 hours of what I've seen, it is very, I would say, masculine, right? Masculine sensory to hell, right? And then also, it's a very decidery movie. And what I mean by that is, this is a Batman that is disgusted with the tribe. That was really the vibe, or that was really the impression that I got while watching what I watched. It's a Batman that if you watch the trailers, he defines himself as vengeance. He is fighting the criminals and the corrupt in Gotham City, and he's trying to make this impact, right? But as you watch it, hopefully you watch it for yourself, but as you're watching it, you're gonna see it's not just a Batman that's angry, it's a Batman that's disgusted with anyone who's corrupt, anyone who sold themselves out, anyone who betrayed, in his mind, what he considers to be good, and things like that. So there's a lot of, and the reason I consider this decidery is because he seems very convinced in his view of the tribe. And again, spoiler free, but over the course of the movie, he then gets basically a tidal wave where he realizes, oh shit, like not only am I not necessarily as good as I thought I was, but the people that I considered good are not as good as I thought they were, right? So that was what was going on the decider end. I might make something else about that, maybe not, but don't hold me to that. But what I do want to talk about is the masculine modality, like just the masculine nature of this movie. And I don't mean that necessarily as in male machismo. It's nothing like that. What I mean specifically is this movie is very, very much masculine sensory, in my opinion, and very I want to say it's masculine feeling as well, but that just might be me. That just might be my bias, right? But it's definitely masculine sensory. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, first of all, let's look at this shot, right? This is a very tactile movie, okay? Batman and Catwoman, they're like the first scene with them together is like the most like I don't know how else to word it. Whoever came up with the shot of them first together, like they have masculine sensory because they were touchy feely all up on each other. I liked it, right? Because I'm also masculine sensory, but this is a very tactile movie, right? Everyone is like pushing, shoving, kicking each other, right? And then I think the highlight of the movie, personally, at least from what I've seen, is the Batmobile chase. Let me see if I could find the car. But basically, this movie is very much like it's not like an Avengers movie where it's explosions every 5 seconds, but it's just kind of it's very willing to destroy things, right? So, take for example the Batmobile. You'll see this in the trailers if you watch trailers. It's like a muscle car, right? Like this is just like a, hey, I have a really really strong muscle car. It has like I don't know if I can show you, but it has like nitrous in the back, which just lets it move faster and shit like that. And like the whole point of this car is not to be pretty, it's not to be cute, it's to like destroy everything in its way, right? And so, Batman's very touchy feely, Catwoman's very touchy feely. Everyone's somehow getting punched in the face. It's this is a movie that made me realize just how much destruction masculine sensory, I guess, prefers, right? In the OP Q&As, I think Dave and Shan kind of talk about it and tease about it in the sense of where masculine sensory is always bitch testing stuff, right? It's like always kicking stuff, punching stuff, to make sure that it's still solid. And, Shan, who's feminine sensory, is like, kind of confused and weirded out by that. It's like, why are you trying to destroy the bed? I forgot what Q&A she said that, but apparently there was an example of Dave, they got a new bed and Dave was immediately trying to destroy it, right? And like this movie kind of embodies that. It's like, if you can't break, then we can be friends. But if you can break easy, then we can't be friends. It's kind of the masculine sensory belief, right? It's like you need to handle abuse, right? Now, similarly, and this one, I don't know if this movie is masculine. Like, I don't know what like the deciders are exactly. It feels mildly like FITE. I'm not sure. It could be FE. I don't mind like TIFE. This could be FE Batman, but the other masculine modality from this film that really, really stood out to me was masculine DI, right? Like, and again, spoiler free. I fucking hate spoilers, right? But you'll see, like, if you watch the movie, the first half hour of the movie is very much Batman asserting himself as the danger, right? Like, he's the threat. He is not worried about the tribe at all. He is the one that is coming with this vengeance, and he is trying to instill fear in everyone else. And that is a very masculine DI approach. That is a very masculine DI belief, right? It's like the tribe is nothing. Like, it's like they need to be worried about me. And over the course of the film, I think this actually adds to that. Again, no spoilers, but over the course of the film, Batman's journey, his hero's journey, is to actually soften up, right? So for example, so he starts off, let's say this is the Batman at the beginning. I don't want a video, but this is the Batman at the beginning, right? Glaring at everyone, ready to kill everyone, right? But then what do you know? Then he finds someone who he thinks is kind of cute. All of a sudden, he's like, okay, I can't kill her. I can't beat her up, and she's not necessarily a good person, right? Decider. She's not the best person. And yet, he has this attraction to her. They clearly have a thing for each other. So, he's grabbing her and being all tactile, right? But I think this is the first character in the film where he has to soften up just by virtue of, like, he can't break her. That's fucked up. Like, at least maybe that's my standards. But in the film, he's like, okay, I got to be a little bit softer with her. I got to be a little bit lenient with her, right? Then, and this is, I definitely can't say names here, but like over the course of the film, he has to soften up more and more and more until at least the point where I got is he starts showing things like empathy and compassion, whereas at the beginning, he didn't give a fuck about anybody, right? So this is a film of someone who starts very masculine DI, right? I am the threat. And then over the course of the film becomes a softer, let's say more approachable human being, right? Instead of this monster that he wanted to be at the beginning, and I think that's, again, I'm rambling, but like, I think that this is kind of the beauty of the film, but this is also something that I guess made me realize, what people who have masculine saviors are going through, right? Like, especially if it's double masculine saviors, because in a similar way as this story arc for him, and I've heard this primarily from people like, I'm not a decider, but I'll use Dallas for example, because he's talked to me about this, where he has so Dallas is an ENFP like me, but he has double masculine consume at the top, right? So he's very, very much like, I do what I want, right? And he's talked about, with, for example, his blast being a form of like weakness, right? It's like, that's his last animal, and he's like, man, why do I have to give into like this bitchy tribe? Like, but that's his growth journey where he has to be softer and more approachable. And I think, I can't even imagine what it would be like for anyone who's not even in my quadra, like, but that seems to be the journey that this movie, I guess, taught me is that for anyone who has masculine saviors, they have to soften up, and that it's like a surrender, right? But interestingly enough, I guess it also taught me something about myself. So for me, I have double feminine saviors. I have double feminine NT at the top, right? And for me, in a weird way, I have to do the opposite of what the Batman is doing in this film. So whereas he starts off very aggressive, very physical and violent, and he learns to soften up, I'm starting off as a soft dude, right? Like, maybe more of the Bruce Wayne over here. And my path is I need to go that way, right? Like, I need to become more destructive, and I need to become more aggressive. And it doesn't like, and I think, that's why I'm scared of my path more, because it's like less socially acceptable, arguably. But in a way, I need to become what Bruce Wayne was at the beginning of this film, right? Whereas Bruce Wayne would need to be more like, I guess, like what I am on a daily basis, right? Where and sorry, I know I'm rambling, but one thing to note about this film is this is a very young Batman. This is a Batman before he has that Bruce Wayne persona, right? So for anyone who knows the comics or watched the older movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and stuff like that, he does not have that cocky alter ego yet. This is just a guy who's just masculine DI full time. He's like, fuck everyone. I'm just gonna do what I want. And by the end of the movie, he's willing to kind of play that role. Whereas I guess with me, and probably for anyone else who has double feminine saviors at somewhere in the top, the growth path is not to become like Bruce Wayne. The growth path is to become more like this, right? To become more of this threat, to become more of this danger, right? To become more of this, especially if you have masculine sensory, you're gonna get dirty just like this. This is what it's gonna look like, right? So anyway, that's probably all I have to say about that. I guess in conclusion, first of all, this is a great fucking movie. I can't even recommend it highly enough. But from a OP standpoint, I do think it taught me a lot about, one, what the nature of masculine modalities are, especially with masculine sensory. It is like way more tactile than I even gave it credit for. Like, it wants to destroy everything. And in the case of masculine DI, at least, it wants to make sure that he's the threat, right? That's like the first half of this whole movie. He's the threat, he's the danger, he's the problem, he's the freak, right? And everyone else is secondary. Whereas, but I guess the second point that I want to reiterate is that for people with masculine saviors, your growth path is to be softer. It's gonna sound wrong to you, by the way, much like anything with your demons. If you have masculine saviors, your growth path is you need to soften up a little bit in that area, right? And that's gonna feel wrong, that's gonna feel evil, that's gonna feel weak, right? But hey, your alternative is you're gonna keep getting in fights like this dumbass in the first half of the movie. And I guess my path, as well as the path of anyone else with double feminine saviors somewhere in the top, is you have to become more aggressive, right? You can't be a pushover, right? You have to become the threat, right? Especially if you have masculine DI as a demon, right? So anyway, this is probably I have been thinking about this movie like pretty much every day, so I'm probably gonna make another video or two like this. I do think the decider part of it, at the very least, is something I need to make more on, because this movie is very decidery, and like normally I don't like decider movies because it's just like, who fucking cares? But like, I think this one did the decider thing in a way where it was relatable to me for some reason, and I was like, oh, okay, I could see why you would hate the world, if this is what's going on. So I think that's about it. The Batman's fucking lit. Okay, I recommend watching it, and then I recommend rewatching it, or at least sleep processing it or thinking about it because this is a good movie. It's long as fuck. It's 3 hours, but whoever made this movie is clearly save your sleep, and I can make a video about that. This is a very save your sleep movie, right? And I think it shows in just the quality of the work, right? It's a very beautiful and very, like, I don't want to use the word processed, but it's a very thorough, story. And that's something that I really appreciated about this. So I think that's going to be my game plan, play out loud. But next video is probably going to be either me talking about the decider aspect of this movie or the sleep aspect of this movie. But I'm definitely going to make both of those videos at some point soon. They're going to be live, and, just be ready for that. So other than that, go watch it. And don't spoil it for me, because I haven't watched the last, hour. I know it sounds crazy, but I had shit to do. So don't spoil it for me. If you do, I'm going to really come after you. So Other than that, hope you guys have a great day. Watch the fucking movie, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.